It's finally here. It's draft lottery week for the Los Angeles Lakers, and that means that we're going to find out whether or not they keep their top 3 protected pick. It's certainly going to be a nervous event for Lakers fans, and with that being the case, I have Spectrum SportsNet's Chris McGee with me today because I think that he is the best person to commiserate on such a tense moment. So Chris McGee will be with us today to break down everything that we need to talk about regarding the draft lottery, and we'll even dive into some of Magic Johnson's recent comments as well. This is the Lakers Nation podcast, and my name is Trevor Lane. I've got Chris Geeter McGee with me today of Spectrum SportsNet. He is not feeling great, but he is a trooper, and he already went in and recorded a show for Spectrum SportsNet, and now he's on his way home and recording with us. This guy just never stops working. Geeter, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Trevor, appreciate you having me, and I will give you one little hint about the show. We did do the draft lottery. We've been doing it a bunch the last couple of weeks. We built a machine, ping pong balls, the whole deal. And finally, for the first time, the last time we were going to do it, we got the first pick. So I was very happy.
Wow, well that's good. We'll do it again on here. We'll use the ESPN version. And I gotta say, I've been pretty fortunate with this so far. I am 4 for 6 as far as keeping the pick, and I've got the number 1 pick twice in a row so far this week. So hopefully,
that's huge.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have some good luck when we run that out there.
We had some stats in the show tonight. Like since 1990, the person with the number 3 overall pick stayed in the top 3 12 times and dropped out 15 times. That scared me a little bit. But you can look at those numbers all day and freak yourself out. So
absolutely, but yeah, that is a little bbit frightening. I mean, the bottom line. Let's recap for everybody here, kind of what's on the line here. The bottom line is that the Lakers have a 47, almost 46.9% chance of keeping their pick this year. And if they don't keep their pick this year, if it doesn't fall in those top 3 spots, they not only lose this year's pick, but they also lose their 2019 pick to the Orlando Magic. I mean, that's definitely got me stressed out. How about you?
Yeah, the thought of losing 2 picks is just, and then the flip side of that is if you keep this year, then you're guaranteed to keep 2019. I mean, it's just there's so much on the line because the thought of losing it, you just know that it sets you back a little bit and it doesn't give you as many options. And I think we're all so excited to see what this new front office can do with some options. And keeping that pick, it's another asset, man, and it's huge. And there's some good players you can get in this draft.
Yeah, there are. I mean, we're hearing all these things about Darren Fox starting to creep up the draft boards. I mean, of course, Lonzo Ball and Markelle Fultz and all these guys that all seem like they could be really great fits for the Lakers. And of course, we don't know. I mean, maybe Magic Johnson attempts to trade one of them or something like that.
Sure. I mean, yeah, you can always trade down. You can trade it away. I mean, depending on what you get, obviously. Having the number 1 pick is a lot easier to trade than even the number 3. I mean,
right.
It's interesting in the NBA draft. You don't see as many trades as you do in the NFL, right? The NFL is all about positioning. You see so many trades. You don't see that many when it comes to the NBA. You see a couple, but it's usually not that huge splash in the beginning of the draft. But you never know.
It could happen, and I almost feel like that's partially because if you trade away one of those top picks and then that player hits and winds up being a superstar, then, I mean, GMs could lose their job over a move like that. Well, so it's a very risky thing, right?
And, Trevor, nowadays with the new CBA, you're basically, you have the number 1 pick. And, by the way, look at the history of the number 1 pick. They hit more times than not.
Yes.
You have that guy for 7 years
right.
At a cheap price if you keep the pick. So it's hard to trade that thing away.
Yeah, and if he really hits, then you not only have him for 7 years, but you've got a great chance of keeping him past that if he makes one of those All-NBA teams or whatever the qualifiers are to reach that super max deal.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we've seen that with what people are talking about Paul George and Gordon Hayward and what they could get if they get that super max. And,
right.
It'll be interesting to see what happens coming up here.
So I've got a question for you before we really dig deep into the serious stuff here. I was talking a few weeks ago with Serena Winters and Corey Hansford from Lakers Nation, and I brought up the draft and Lucky Charms for the draft lottery, and I think maybe they think that I'm a little bit crazy at this point because I have Lucky Lakers socks that I wear on draft lottery day, and I felt like if anybody was gonna relate to that, maybe it would be you. Do you have any kind of lucky charm that you have for draft lottery day?
You know, it's interesting. I recently was asked that question, and I totally get it. I mean, when I played ball in college, like there was days of matches, I always felt I had to get a certain sandwich at this place called My Hero Sub Shop before my Northridge volleyball games. And you had certain ways that you put on your gear. You know, what's funny is when we've been doing this draft lottery the last few years, the first year I wore a Big Game James shirt, and we dropped from 6 to 7. You know, the next 2 years I didn't do anything, and we got the number 2 pick. But all around the office, I guess I can say this, Trevor. I sit in the same seat, and so does James. That's not my desk I'm sitting at. I'm actually 2 cubicles over. So, you know, it's a guy named Jeff Chisver. He's one of our producers. But we now have to all sit in the same seats because we think it matters. So, yes, I totally get where you're coming from. You're not crazy at all. Absolutely wear those socks, and I promise you I'll be sitting in the same seat.
Okay, that sounds good. I mean, whatever we can do to help bring the Lakers luck, right? And
man.
I mean, I wanted to ask you too. You're good buddies with Luke Walton. How does he handle all of this? Does he have any lucky charms to help him through the day?
Yeah, well, he's just Lucky Luke, man. The guy, I mean, looks like his life, right? I mean, are you kidding me? He steps in a pile of you-know-what, and it turns to gold. So, you know, Luke is luck enough, and so is Magic Johnson. Those guys don't need lucky charms when you're blessed like they are. But, you know, he and I have had talks. You know, we've played volleyball a few times. We've went to Arizona together, so we've spent a little time together since the season's ended. He's actually been in the office every single day. He's at the draft combine now, so he's been working hard. But, you know, it's funny. I think during the season, the thought of losing that pick was scary, right? And Luke now has gotten to the point where he's like, listen, we need that pick, but if we lose it, I'm moving on. Like, I think they're just so, and I'm not saying they, but, you know, he hears about it every day. He lives it. It's his livelihood. He's the coach. He knows all too well how big these picks are. But if you lose it, I think he's like, okay, I'm putting my head down. I'm moving on, and I'm not talking about it. Luke's not that guy that always goes, what if we did that? He just has never been. It's interesting. You know, so many of us are like, what if this would have happened? What if that would have happened? I've never really heard Luke play that game. So I honestly think deep down he wants that pick more than anybody. But if we don't get it, I think Luke's response will be, all right, we know where we are. Let's move on. We got work to do. I really do think that's how he's going to play it.
Well, that's the one nice thing about the lottery is that no matter what the outcome is, we're finally going to have certainty. We're going to know what the Lakers have moving forward as far as assets go for the future, right? And then
Trevor,
they can make plans.
Trevor, aren't you just, I mean, listen, as devastating as guys like you and I would be and our fans and all that stuff, Laker Nation, aren't you just like, if it happens, let's just move on, and I'm sick of hearing about it? I mean, yeah, I'd be so bummed, and the show would suck that night.
Yes.
But I'm ready to move on from this situation is what I'm trying to say, more than anything.
Absolutely. I'm going to be writing about that this weekend for a piece that's going to go out on Monday, and I am so ready to be done with the whole, you know, they need to lose games to keep their pick and all that. I want to be done with that whole situation. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think you and I talked about it towards the end of the season. I mean, when I went on the show, just like, you know, all the anger it's brought from Laker fans on each other with players getting mad at wins. And you think about it, we're all on the same team, right? We all want the same stuff, but we all get mad at each other because some people understand how big it is, some people don't care, but it's the situation everyone's frustrated with. That's the bottom line. Like, it's not each other, it's the situation. Everyone hates being here because we love winning, we love our team, and we're all competitive. So at the end of the day, win or lose, let's just get moving.
Right. Yeah. Even if they lose the pick, let's move on and let's figure out what we're going to do from there. But hopefully they keep it. Now at the draft lottery, there's a lot of people who don't realize this, but everybody knows that Magic Johnson is representing the Lakers, but there's actually 2 representatives that go to the draft lottery, and that's Rob Pelinka is also representing. He'll be in the room with the ping pong balls there, right? And so he'll know really before anybody else will. The people in that room know, and they're on lockdown, so no word gets out. So the lottery has already happened by the time it gets revealed on stage. It's already been done. It's usually been over for about a half an hour or so. But we know that Magic Johnson is going to be that guy that's sitting on stage. Now, what are you anticipating seeing from Magic in terms of reaction if they keep the pick or if they lose the pick?
Great question. That big smile is what I keep envisioning. Keeping the pick, that Magic smile that LA fell in love with 37 years ago. I feel like we're going to see it. And Magic's a guy that wears his emotion on his sleeve. I think if they don't keep the pick, you'll see it. And I think you'll be able to read that disappointment because that smile won't be so big. But I think in Magic's head, he knows that they have another plan, and he knows that the setback, whatever they think it might be, he's not going to tip his hand and be like, oh, my God, we're done. He's going to be positive and say, let's move on. But, yeah, you'll see it for sure. I mean, hopefully it's that big smile, man, because how awesome would that be, dude?
I hope so, and it would be fantastic. And almost part of me wants them to keep the pick just because it feels like there's so many people out there that are hoping that they lose it. We've seen like Bill Simmons has talked about how badly he wants to see Magic disappointed on the stage and all that. And I've seen fans from other teams have said, that no matter what happens, they just hope the Lakers lose their pick and all that. I really want them to keep it just to kind of rub it in a little bit.
And you know what? Like for Boston, Bill Simmons and all their fans, they're just so. It's like I love that they get so worked up about us. It makes me so happy. They praise their 17 titles, and they talk about that, and they're all bummed that they've only really seen like 4 of them because none of them were alive when the rest of them happened. and like Bill Simmons he wants us to lose so bad. I mean, the guy has 1 title in 29 years. You know what I mean? So for him, I love all that mojo coming at us. I love that competitive fire. I love that people want to see us fail because when you're great, people are jealous of you. Mm-hmm. And when you win, people hate you. And that's a good thing in my eyes. Like, if everyone liked us, that's not very fun. If everyone liked us, that means we're not good. You know what I mean? It means we finally got good after 40 years. And, oh, my God, everyone likes the Warriors. But look what happened. All of a sudden, everyone hates the Warriors in Cleveland already because they've already won too much because they've been in the limelight for just 3 years. So the Lakers are in the limelight forever, and they've won so many times. So I want everyone to hate us. It makes me so happy, Trevor, I can't even tell you.
It's the best. And don't you love, too, when you go to a game, if you travel to another city and go to a Lakers game, and when you see the arena filled with Lakers fans, and then you hear the boos from the home team fans, it's always so fun because you see how frustrated they get that the Lakers travel so well.
Yeah, it bums them out. It's awesome. And I've repped Lakers in a few other arenas, and it's always fun, man. It's always like, you versus the world mentality. It makes you feel good.
Exactly. So, hey, just the other day, in fact, it was at the draft combine, Magic Johnson had some really interesting comments, and I wanted to get your take on it. He said, essentially, that the Lakers could be looking to preserve their cap space this summer in 2017 in order to really make a run at some free agents in 2018. And that was about the extent of his comments on it. Didn't go into too much detail, but what did you think when he said that?
Well, for me, I think that's being a realist. I heard on the radio today, I think Mason and maybe Andy Kamenetsky were talking about it. And, Mason's take, and Steve and I are good friends, but I actually wanted to text him about it because he was like, that sounds like the old regime, that's not the mentality we should have. And for me, I just think people need to realize the landscape of it all. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have room to just be throwing out max contracts. We have a guy named Luke Walton and Timothy Mozgov on our team. So, if you just give away a max contract this year just to try to get a guy, then guess what? You're not getting anybody next year when we have a legit chance to land some stars. So that's what he's saying, man. He's just saying, like, hey, we're not just going to throw money at anybody. It's basically him preaching patience.
Which is what we didn't see that last summer. I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, man. And we gave, Mozgov and these guys got 4 years, and it's really hurt. And he's being smart, and people always want, does Magic understand the game? Does he, not the game, but the game of free agency, and does he understand the cap? Yes, that's why he said that. He actually does understand it, and he's learned, and so does Rob and Luke, and, they're not going to sell you some dream that's not happening. So don't get all worked up and think the Lakers are landing all these guys. They don't have the money to do it this summer. They need to start building this summer and then probably make a bigger splash next year. That's just the reality, Trevor, and I think that's all he was saying.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that what comes into play here too is players will take meetings with the Lakers even if they aren't seriously considering the Lakers because, you know, I mean, the Lakers being attached to anybody gets their name out there, gets more interest in them, gets them onto the front page. And so it's something where the Lakers may sort of talk to some free agents and stuff this summer, but if they're not a realistic option for that free agent, then I think they need to make sure that their plans are for picking up player, you know, D, E, F, wherever down the line that they can maybe get at a cheaper price than focusing on these top tier guys that may talk to them but aren't really seriously considering them in free agency.
I mean, listen, if Gordon Hayward's a reality, which I don't think it is, then obviously that's something you would have to look at, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you know, there's guys like Chris Paul out there, but I just don't think those are realistic goals right now. I mean, yeah, that'd be awesome, but, you know, I think, like, I agree with you 100%.
It's going to be it's definitely going to be an interesting summer one way or another. Now, obviously getting back to the draft, how this draft lottery turns out is going to have a big impact. So I've actually got the draft lottery pulled up here. I've got ESPN's lottery mock draft. I also use the Tankathon mock draft, but the ESPN one is the one that I've been using for my Twitter followers for the past 6 days now, and basically I do the 10 days leading up to the draft. I play the lottery once, and we see what the outcome is, and I post it. So let me run this thing a few times, and let's go through what may happen if this scenario goes down.
Let's do it.
All right, so here we go. I just hit play. We're spinning the wheel, and holy moly, you're not going to believe it. First try, Lakers got the number 1 pick.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, something is going down, buddy. I had the same thing happen on my show. We're getting that pick, bud.
Yep.
We are getting that pick.
That's got to be a good omen, right?
So I don't know between Markelle Fultz or Lonzo Ball. I want Lonzo Ball personally, but I also come from I've watched him way more. And the only game I saw Fultz play happened to be against Lonzo Ball in UCLA, and UCLA went up by 40, and Lonzo Ball killed him. I didn't see De'Aaron Fox outplay Lonzo Ball. I was working that night. I know Lonzo Ball was a little gimpy. I do love De'Aaron Fox, and I love his athleticism. But if you're picking number 1, I think it's between two guys, Markelle Fultz and Lonzo Ball. I've seen highlights of Markelle Fultz. The guy's a scorer, and he seems to be the guy that everyone's looking at number 1. But if that Lakers have number 1, man, you got to look at Lonzo, because I think there's one player in the draft that has that special ability to make everyone better, and that's Lonzo Ball. Now, I'm not studying like these guys. I'm not watching hours and hours upon tape like Rob and Luke and Magic. But right now, if you're asking me, I have the GM hat on. I'm probably leaning Lonzo Ball.
So I'm on Team Fultz. I would take Markelle Fultz just because of his ability to play out of the pick and roll system, and I love Lonzo's passing, but I think that Fultz at 6'4" with a 6'10" wingspan is really special. I think he's got a lot of defensive potential there, even though he's not a great defender yet. I think he's a great shooter, and I love the way that he finishes in the lane. But I certainly wouldn't be upset with getting Lonzo Ball. And here's something I'd like to run past you. I was talking to Kelvin Washington of ESPN LA a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned that the Lakers might even feel kind of obligated to take Lonzo Ball because of what you mentioned, because so many LA fans have been watching Lonzo Ball for so long that they would be sort of pressuring the Lakers into taking him. Do you think Magic would cave into any kind of that pressure, or would that just not even be a consideration in the Lakers' minds?
I think Kelvin brings up a great point, and I think it's a good question. I mean, listen, Lonzo's going to be the marketing ability here in L.A. and the buzz that goes along with that. You can't deny it. I mean, it is a business at the end of the day. But I truly think Magic, Rob, and Luke will take what's best for this team. And I don't know who that's going to be or who they have in mind. They're going to work them out, have the meetings. You know, for me, like, listen, if you and I are arguing and debating for the next month over Markelle Fultz or Lonzo Ball because we have the number 1 pick, I mean, paint me happy, dude. I'm all good with that.
Absolutely.
I'll take either guy at the end of the day. I think Fultz is such an elite scorer. He's got a little Damian Lillard in him to me where he can just score different ways. But I just keep coming back to Lonzo Ball in that he's a winner. I watched him in high school. I've seen this guy do things on the court that just I haven't seen a lot of guys his age do in terms of the passing and the ability to read 2 plays ahead. I know when he pays attention to defense like he did against Fultz, he can defend. I would have a hard time. I mean, it's a great hard decision to make is what I meant to say.
Absolutely. It's a great problem to have, right?
Absolutely.
And just to to round out this draft, the Lakers got number 1 in this play that I did, and Boston went second, took Markelle Fultz, and Josh Jackson went third to the 76ers. So that's
okay.
The way that draft would have fallen. You know what? Hey, before I move on, any questions about Lavar Ball? Would you have any issues with him joining the team and being part of the process, or do you think that's just not a consideration also?
I've had debates with guys on this. I mean, even D-Fish and I one time talked about it. D-Fish, had a full red flag because of Lavar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. It doesn't bother me one bit. Now, I have issues with how Lavar Ball acts.
Sure.
I really do. I feel like he wants to be the star. I feel like he's trying to live out his dreams. I understand he's trying to be a businessman. I get all that. But at the end of the day, you're putting a target on your kid's back, even more of a target than he's already going to have, being a top pick. But I agree with what Magic said. I honestly, I just don't think it's relevant. I think Lavar goes and he starts focusing on the other two kids. I feel like once you're in the NBA, you're in the league, man. If this kid's elite, Lavar Ball's always going to be chirping. But at the end of the day, it's about what Lonzo does, and the kid can play basketball. So for me, it doesn't deter me from taking him. Is my answer at the long route getting there? But that's my answer. It doesn't make me say I'm not taking him because of dad. I'm not going there.
I'm on board with you 100%. If the Lakers decide that he is the guy that they want, it doesn't matter what the dad's doing. Okay, let's spin the wheel one more time here. Let's see what happens. Oh, ouch. Okay, this one.
Boston, huh?
Yeah, Boston went number 1. Phoenix number 2. Boston took Fultz number 1. Phoenix took Ball number 2, and Philly got Josh Jackson at 3 and Malik Monk at 4.
Ooh, that would be devastating.
Oh. Gosh, that's real similar to one that I did earlier today.
I would think they would take De'Aaron Fox at 4 if I'm them.
Yeah.
You need a guy that can run it and defend on that team. I mean, that team, you imagine the athleticism with Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and De'Aaron Fox and Josh Jackson. Oh, my God.
That would be scary.
I mean, I don't even know what to do with myself if I was Philly in that. I guess the way to do this, what I've been doing, I think is an interesting one, is say the Lakers keep the 3rd pick, Trevor.
Yeah.
And Fultz and Ball are off the table. Who are you going with at 3?
That's a great question. And if it's me, I'm probably bouncing back and forth between Josh Jackson and Jason Tatum. But again, I don't think either one of them are perfect fits with the Lakers. So that maybe opens the window a little bit for De'Aaron Fox to come in there. Maybe you even take a look at Dennis Smith there, because I'm really intrigued at the idea of moving D'Angelo Russell off the ball, and having him at the 2. How about you?
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. For me, it just boils down to 2 guys: Josh Jackson, De'Aaron Fox. I do need to look at Tatum more. A lot of guys I know and respect love Tatum and his body and what he can do, so I need to pay attention to him a little bit more, especially if you get that 3rd pick.
Right.
I am so intrigued by De'Aaron Fox and that athleticism and just that ability and the way he sounds when he talks, and he's got charisma. He's got hops. I don't know, man. A guy that's a blur with the speed. That excites me. I got to be honest with you. Josh Jackson, when I watched him play in the tournament, he was completely awesome. So, for me, I also have that in my head. I think about the length you'd have on the wings with Brandon Ingram and Josh Jackson. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, that fires me up too, man.
Yeah, that would be exciting if they can get their jumpers to start falling. I think both Josh Jackson and Ingram would need to start hitting from 3.
No doubt.
Now,
I think it'll happen.
Yeah, it would still be exciting though, because you look at Josh Jackson and his ability to really see the floor and get out and run the break. I think Luke would be able to do wonders for him. One thing, if you end up with Fox and D'Angelo Russell and Julius Randle all on the floor at the same time, that's a lot of lefties out there, man.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Oh, that's such a trip. That is a lot of lefties. Can you imagine all 3 of them in the same lineup?
Yeah. It's a little weird. I'm a lefty, but it's just a little weird when you see that many left-handed players out there at once. I guess it wouldn't really matter all that much, but it'd be interesting.
Yeah, that would be, man, that trips me out a little bit. Yeah, you know what? We haven't even gotten to this. We've talked about it before, but who knows what the Lakers are going to do with all those young guys? Especially if you keep that pick, it's going to be interesting to see if one of them's gone in a package.
Yeah, that's definitely true. That's a great point. And it's something that I could definitely see happening.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think I could see them making a trade. In fact,
by the way, doesn't it have to if you're trying to get rid of that Mozgov or Dang contract? Most likely Dang.
Yeah. Yeah, they would have to try to attach that 28th pick with it, wouldn't they?
Yeah, you have to. 28th pick, and maybe one of those young guys, Clarkson, Randall. I mean, one of them is going to have to be. You're going to have to be able to part with one of them. You and I have talked about it. It's not going to be easy, but you're going to have to.
Interesting question here. I saw this on Twitter actually earlier today. Somebody asked both you and me. We were both included on this tweet. And I haven't looked to see.
The loyalty one?
Yeah, that loyalty one. I didn't look to see if you responded or anything. Do you think there's anything to that? Jordan Clarkson, for those of you who don't know, Jordan Clarkson tweeted the word loyalty twice in a row. It just says loyalty, and that was it. And so people were speculating that maybe something was going on there. What do you think, Geeter?
I think no, but I don't want to be naive.
Right.
But I just don't, man, social media, these guys are always doing something. And, I don't have time to put too much into it. It's like when Luke said on CBS Sports or whatever he was talking to, he's like, yeah, Magic assured me we're getting the pick. And people went nuts saying, it's fixed. And I'm like, guys, please stop being, come on. I mean, like Luke's going to go say, yeah, Magic told me we're getting the pick because they're cheating. I mean, come on, dude. So, social media is funny. I'm not looking into it. Who's probably sending a message to his friend or something, but he also knows that him doing that, it gets a lot of attention. So right. I always think guys are a little more planned out when they do it. Like he knows why he's doing it.
Oh yeah,
I'm not looking into it like, he's sending a message to Magic, Luke, and Rob. No way, you're not that. No, he's not doing that, dude. He's getting $50 million. Trust me, he ain't sending a message to anybody. Like that.
Here's the thing that first popped into my head. If I'm a professional athlete and I'm making millions of dollars a year and I know that people are following my Twitter account and taking everything that I tweet so seriously, I would be sorely tempted just to tweet something random out there and just see what happens just for laughs.
100%. I mean, he's probably, who knows, he's probably partying with his buddies. They're sitting there, and they're laughing, and he goes, watch, I'm going to tweet out loyalties. Watch what happens. They're probably betting on how many replies it gets and retweets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what? He could say horses, right? And everybody would say, oh, he's going to the Mavericks, right?
Yep. I mean, if Nick Young put, like, a suitcase emoji out there and tweeted it right now, people would go nuts.
Gosh.
Right?
Yeah, people would go nuts. Yeah, I mean, this would be reported across the country, right? If Nick Young tweeted a suitcase.
No doubt. I'm not going to put too much into it.
Okay, yeah, I had the same reaction. I was thinking, maybe there's something behind it, but man, it's hard to read too much into a.
You know what? There might be something behind it, but it's not enough for us to care, right? Yeah.
So before we wrap things up here, I had Mark Medina on the other day. And we were talking all about, of course, the draft lottery and his sort of take on things. And we wrapped things up by just asking Mark, hey, what do you think is going to happen? He made his prediction, and he predicted that the Lakers are going to wind up with the 3rd overall pick. And that was where he said things would land. So I'm curious, what do you think is going to happen on Tuesday when those ping pong balls are revealed? Where are the Lakers going to end up?
A month and a half ago, I had this big feeling, or 2 months ago, that we were winning the lottery, and I'm going to stick with that. The Lakers win the lottery.
I love it.
They keep that pick. It's the number 1 overall. I've waned a little bit since then because I think my nerves are starting to get rattled, and I'm doing this lottery machine at work every day, and sometimes you get thrown off. But I'm going to stay with that original pick because I think it's going to happen. I don't know if I dreamt it or what, but I'm sticking with it, Trevor.
All right, so Lakers win the lottery, and then I think the entire league is going to cry rigged all at the same time, right?
It's going to be so awesome, and you know what? Come to our studio and you can dogpile with. We'll start a dogpile. We're going to go nuts, dude. I'm going to be tweeting at people and heckling people, and I cannot wait.
Oh, that would just be that would be phenomenal. That's a dream come true, right?
Right, dream come true.
Absolutely. Well, hey, thanks a lot for coming on the show and helping us prepare for the draft lottery. Completely appreciate it. Know you're not feeling all that great and everything, so appreciate you getting one out and coming on here with us.
Hey, buddy, we keep that pick on Tuesday. I'm going to feel great. Make sure you text me that night. We'll chat.
Absolutely, I will. Definitely appreciate your time. Have a good one.
Later, bro.
Later. So that was Chris Geeter McGee of Spectrum SportsNet. Always a great time chatting with him. We are heading into the draft lottery. Everybody's going to have to keep their fingers crossed, get whatever lucky charms that you have, and let's hope that the Lakers are able to hang on to their top 3 protected pick. That's going to wrap things up for us today. I'll be back next time to break down everything that happened in the draft lottery and figure out where the Lakers can go from here. As always, you can find this show on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, the CLNS radio app, and of course, LakersNation.com. My name is Trevor Lane, and this has been the Lakers Nation Podcast.